My fiance suggested, "You should try dating my sister." "You're both so boring together," I said. "Interesting idea." Then I called her sister and told her what was said. 1 month later, when we both announced our relationship to her family at brunch, I, Evan Hale, 32, was loading the dishwasher, rinsing plates so carefully that you'd think the porcelain mattered more than my 4-year relationship. Then came her words, careless, airy, delivered with that laugh she used when she wanted to pretend cruelty was comedy at first. I didn't move. The faucet ran, warm water collecting around my fingers. The kitchen smelled faintly of her mother's lavender cleaning spray, but under it, there was another scent, sharp, acidic, something like disappointment blooming. "What?" I finally asked, slowly turning off the tap. Leora giggled again, leaning her hip against the counter, completely "Come on, Evan. You and Mara are basically the same person. She likes those gloomy novels nobody finishes. You watch war documentaries for fun. You spreadsheet your entire life. You both even drink black coffee like it's a personality trait. It's honestly weird you're with me and not her." I held a dripping plate in my hands and suddenly felt like an extra in my own engagement. "Are you breaking up with me?" I asked. "Oh my God, no," she said, rolling her eyes. "Why do you have to be so serious all the time? I'm just saying it's funny. Like objectively, you two are a better match. It's almost hilarious when you think about it. Hilarious, right? We had deposits down, venue, catering, a photographer who charged more than my monthly rent. Our wedding invitations were already printed, sitting in a box in our hallway. We had spent 8 months pretending we were building a future together, and she demolished it with a joke she didn't expect me to take seriously. But it wasn't the words alone. It was how unfeeling she was, detached, like she'd simply noticed a misplaced bottle of perfume on a shelf and thought, that belongs over there with the cheaper ones." I kept my voice calm. "That's an interesting way to see things, right?" "Exactly. Don't be weird about it. Honesty is important in a relationship." We drove home afterward, 20 silent minutes. She scrolled Instagram the whole time, not once looking over at me, not noticing my quiet, or maybe not caring. When we got home, she fell asleep instantly, or pretended to. I lay staring at the ceiling, feeling the day settle over me like a heavy scent you can't wash off. Something strange happened then, a thought that wasn't quite a decision, more like the first breath of a new fragrance forming. I picked up my phone and texted her sister, me. "Hey Mara, can we grab coffee? Something I need to tell you." "Mara, is everything okay?" "Me, just want to talk. Thursday at 2. Morrison Caf." "Mara, sure. I'll be there." When Thursday arrived, Mara was exactly on time. She always was. Steady, quiet, reliable traits Leora mocked, but that somehow comforted me more than I expected. She ordered her coffee black. She sat across from me with a worried look, like she already sensed something was wrong. "What's going on?" she asked. I took out my phone. In my notes app, I had typed Leora's words exactly. Every line, every tone. I read it aloud. Mara's expression changed, slowly. Concern gives confusion, gives horror. "She said that," she whispered, "that we should date, because we're both boring." "Her words," I said. She pressed her palms against her cup, staring into it like she hoped the steam would hide her emotions. "Evan, I'm so sorry. That's not just insensitive. That's cruel." Her empathy hit me unexpectedly hard. In 4 years, Leora had never asked how I felt after saying something hurtful. She always brushed it off with, Lighten up, babe. But Mara looked at me like my feelings actually mattered. We talked for 2 hours. About childhood. About being labeled the quiet sister. About how Leora sucked the oxygen out of every room and left Mara with the leftovers. It was like hearing my own experiences, mirrored and softened through someone who lived beside the same hurricane for decades. When we parted, nothing was said, but something had shifted. It felt subtle, like a lingering scent on a collar faint, but impossible to ignore. In the weeks that followed, Leora started coming home late girls' nights. She claimed she smelled faintly of a cologne I didn't own. I didn't ask. I didn't care enough to. Mara and I texted more slowly, naturally, carefully. Nothing inappropriate. Just easy conversation that didn't require adjusting myself to fit someone else's expectations. Then one night at a tiny Italian restaurant, under warm amber lighting and the smell of baked bread, Mara asked softly, "Evan, are you really going through with the wedding?" I set down my fork. Every time I picture myself standing at the altar, I feel nothing. That's not normal, she whispered. No, I said. It's not. She didn't reach for my hand. She didn't try to sway me. She simply said, "Whatever you decide, I'm here as your friend." But I already knew. Something quietly, irrevocably had changed, and for the first time in months, I felt the faintest hint of peace, like stepping into clean air after living too long in someone else's overpowering fragrance. 3 weeks before the wedding, I found the message. I hadn't been snooping. I was looking for a charger in Leora's nightstand, tugging open drawers filled with half-used lipsticks and receipts from boutique stores she didn't remember shopping at. The charger wasn't there, but her phone was on. It lit up as I closed the drawer. A notification banner, a name I didn't recognize, a message that made my pulse stop for one long, deliberate beat. Leo, last night was unbelievable. Same time next week. I didn't touch the phone. I didn't need to. One message was enough, like catching a scent strong enough to know the bottle had been used long before you found it. Leora came home an hour later. She kissed my cheek, told me I looked tired, told me I should relax because weddings are stressful enough without you making them worse. She didn't notice the stillness in me. She never noticed anything that wasn't about her that night. While she showered, I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the neatly stacked wedding invitations, the ones with our initials embossed in gold, as though permanence could be printed. I didn't feel sad, no rage, no heartbreak. What I felt was clarity, clean, crisp, like the first inhale after rain scours the air. I opened my laptop and started making changes. First, I emailed the Venupolite, firm, irrevocable, subject line, cancellation request. Second, the caterer. Third, the photographer. Fourth, the florist. Every button I clicked felt like cutting a thread I hadn't realized was strangling me. By midnight, the wedding no longer existed, except for the version Leora still assumed was happening. But this wasn't revenge. Not yet. This was preparation. The real catalyst arrived a week later at her parents' house. Sunday dinner again. Same roast beef, same overcooked carrots, same lavender cleaning spray, except this time Mara was there, and she looked at me differently, not romantically, not expectantly, just knowingly, as if she sensed the tectonic shift happening beneath the surface. During dessert, Leora's father asked how the wedding planning was going. Before I could answer, Leora laughed and said, "Oh, Evan's having one of his little anxiety phases. He gets overwhelmed by details. It's kind of cute, honestly. Everyone chuckled, except Mara. She froze, like someone had just whispered a code word only she understood. I realized then how many times Leora had rewritten me in front of others, turning my boundaries into quirks, my discomfort into punchlines. I looked across the table, directly at her father. Actually, I said evenly, there won't be a wedding. Fawkes paused, mid-air. Liora blinked. What? We're not getting married, I repeated, calm as the surface of still water. I cancelled everything last week. The rooms, silence, rushed in so fast it felt like pressure change in an airplane. Cabin, her mother gasped. Her father cleared his throat. Mara's hands slowly tightened around her. Napkin, Leora laughed sharp, confused. Stop joking. I'm not joking. What do you mean you cancelled everything, without telling me? She said, voice rising, hysteria curling at the edges. I held her gaze. I figured honesty was important in a relationship. The same words she tossed at me like a pebble, but now they landed like a stone. Her face went pale, then flushed red. You can't just, Evan. This makes me look crazy. My friends, my co-workers, what am I supposed to tell everyone? I didn't flinch. Tell them whatever you told Leo. The entire table inhaled at once. Mara looked down, her father's jaw dropped. Her mother's hand flew to her chest. Leora stared at me as though someone had slapped her. You went through my phone. I didn't need to, I said quietly. Your notifications told me enough. She opened her mouth to deny it, but stopped, because even she knew the lie wouldn't survive. The space between us, her mother whispered her name in disappointment. So deep it felt like the entire house sagged under it, and that was when I stood, not dramatically, not triumphantly, just, finally, I'll come back tomorrow for my things, I said. Leora's voice cracked. Evan, don't do this. Don't embarrass me like this. You embarrassed yourself. I replied, no yelling, no grand exit, just truth delivered plainly, like clean air after months of suffocation. I walked out. Mara followed me onto the porch, closing the door behind her. The quiet was warm, heavy, honest. You okay? She asked softly. For the first time in a long time, I said, yes. She nodded, eyes shining not with pity but with understanding, deep, steady, unmistakably sincere. And as I stepped into the driveway, I realized something. The air around me finally smelled like something I hadn't felt in months' freedom. The next morning, I returned for my things. My car was parked under the weak morning sun, the air carrying that faint scent of wet asphalt and freshly brewed coffee from the cafe down the street. I moved slowly, deliberately, like each step was a note in a composition I had finally written for myself. Leora opened the door before I knocked. She was wearing white, like some kind of misguided bride-wrinkled dress from last night's dinner. Mascara slightly smudged, hair tousled in a careless braid. She looked at me with that combination of disbelief and entitlement I had grown to recognize like a perfume that lingers far longer than it should. You're really leaving, she said, voice tight, as if the words themselves were claws. Yes, I said evenly. I am your choosing her over me. Her eyes darted to Mara, who stood silently behind me, not defensive, not seeking attention, just there, solid, real, present. I didn't answer. Words wouldn't clarify anything anymore. They'd only give her a stage, and Leora thrived on stages. She stepped forward suddenly. You think this is fair, to me? After 4 years, Evan, 4 years of you think fairness is keeping me trapped in a life that doesn't belong to me. I said, cutting her off gently but firmly. I'm done pretending that your opinion of me defines my reality. Her face twisted in fury. How could you go to Mara? My own sister. You're a cheater. I didn't, I said. I ended things with you first. What comes after what I choose is no one's business but mine. The words hung in the doorway, solid, immovable. Leora's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Mara stepped forward slightly, not to intervene, just to silently signal support. And suddenly the dynamic shifted. The unspoken truth, the weight of years of manipulation, mockery, and gaslighting pressed down on Leora like an invisible wall. You think she's the reason? Leora shrieked. No. This is about you betraying me, abandoning me. You're supposed to love me. I never stopped loving myself, I said softly, and for the first time in years, I'm choosing to feel that. She spun, hysterical, storming inside. The door slammed behind her, rattling the frame. Her screams echoed faintly, a chaotic symphony that no longer held power over me. I waited until the silence that followed was complete, and then I took Mara's hand. Her fingers were warm, tentative. She didn't pull away. Instead, her grip strengthened as if to anchor both of us in the new reality we were entering together. For the first time in months, I breathed without a shadow looming over me. We moved slowly through the apartment, gathering my remaining belongings. Each item felt lighter than before, as if even my things were relieved to leave that toxic gravity behind. Leora's whispers from the living room, a mix of sobbing and self-pity, played faintly in the background, an accompaniment to our quiet exodus. The next days were a storm in microcosm. Leora called my parents, my friends, Mara's parents, anyone who would listen. Every phone call was a grenade disguised as concern. She told stories that twisted reality, painted me as a villain, Mara as a manipulator, herself as the victim of a betrayal too cruel to imagine. But I had Mara. We shared screenshots, timestamps, and exact quotes. Each time she tried to rewrite the story, we had evidence. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the truth started leaking through the cracks in her performance. Friends began questioning the narrative. Family members hesitated when confronted with the facts. Our story, our truth, remained grounded in the quiet weight of reality. The financial side was brutal. Wedding deposits lost, legal fees to confirm cancellations, venue contracts, photographer retainers, roughly $16,000 gone, yet somehow liberating. I counted each loss not as a price, but as a punctuation mark in the sentence. I was finally writing for myself. Liora, meanwhile, unraveled in ways predictable only in retrospect. She had a fling during our engagement, another distraction, another attempt to fill the emptiness she projected onto others. He ghosted her once, the chaos unfolded. Work complaints followed her, subtle but damning, until HR finally issued a warning for creating a hostile environment. She moved back in with her parents, where every morning was interrogation. Every conversation a reminder of the control she had lost. Mara and I, by contrast, built slowly, not recklessly, not dramatically. Quiet dinners, weekend walks, coffee at the corner cafe where we had first met in honesty. No Instagram stories, no social media flexing, just two people learning to occupy space without diminishing one another. Our apartment smelled faintly of vanilla candles and old Buxacar mixture that became our new signature scent. Our marker of normalcy and trust. Holiday dinners came. Mara's parents invited us both. Leora, not present. She stayed behind, wrapped in her own narratives, attempting to manufacture sympathy online while reality quietly, inexorably, left her behind. Every passive-aggressive Instagram story, every whispered complaint to friends, was like a fragrance attempting to mask decay. But it was too late. The air around Mara and me was clean. In quiet moments, I still question myself. Am I interesting enough? I would ask softly, only to hear Mara's gentle reassurance. You're exactly right. You've always been exactly right. She didn't mean it as a compliment. She meant it as truth, and in the end, that truth solid, unadorned, and quietly radiant was more intoxicating than any perfume, any performance, any illusion of perfection. Liora sent one final message. Another new number. Another veiled insult disguised as self-pity. Hope you're happy with the discount version of me. I blocked it. Didn't respond. Because happiness isn't about winning a war. It's about breathing freely in a space that allows you to exist fully. And for the first time in years, I did. Mara squeezed my hand as we stood by the window, watching the late afternoon sun catch the edge of the city skyline. The streets below smelled faintly of rain and asphalt, clean and alive. And I realized something crucial. Other people's opinions, even from those closest to you, are not your reality. Freedom is peace is and sometimes, finally, love is too.